Okay, good morning, guys. Last time I I was talking about margin of error. Okay, so this is how we find the margin of error. So please try to remember this one. Whenever you need to find the margin of error, it is this one. It is exactly same what we used to find the uh, lower limit and upper limit of the interval. Okay, 95% or whatever interval, confidence interval. So those two with X bar. This one. UB here, LB here. Oh, sorry, not UB, LB here, UB here. Okay, clear? So always, as I mentioned, length of the CI, which means the gap between these two is 2 times E. Okay, 2 times C. Right, check this one. 95% confidence interval for mu. Okay, so 95% CI. So you should know first what you should do. Find the C alpha over 2. What is alpha here? Alpha is 5% or 0.05. But you need C alpha over 2, which means C 0.025. That value from the table is 1.96. C table. Okay. Your N, there are 50 values, 50 observations. So your simple N 50. Sigma is given. So you don't have to worry about that. Sigma is given. You have to calculate X bar. X bar is not given. You have to calculate using summation of xi divided by n. Okay. Sample mean. So you have to calculate X bar. Then you have all the values. Only thing is you have to just plug the values for your confidence interval to this one. Or you can write it like using a comma. So X bar known, C alpha over 2 known, this one known, and this one known. Just plug the values and simplify it. You will see this is your answer. If you write it like this, lower bound, this is the lower bound value, and this is the upper bound value. Lower bound to upper bound, don't use the brackets. Okay. Or you can simply use lower bound, comma, upper bound, so that you can use brackets. Okay, because that's how we write the intervals. It's a standard one. Okay, either this way or this way, doesn't matter. So this is the answer for 95% confidence interval for mu. Okay, clear? Right. If we consider the estimate of error or error estimate, you can see this. I think this is the X bar, right? Yes, this is your X bar. So this is going to be your E, capital E, error. What is the error? This part. Plus error, minus error. Okay. So you can calculate your error using this piece. So simply I told you X bar plus or minus error. Okay. For example, confidence interval, let's say 95%. Confidence interval for mu, I can write it X bar minus E, X bar plus E, like this. Okay. What is E? This part. Okay, clear? So these are two different examples based on two different sample sizes. Here sample size is 50 and here 200. So they have calculated X bar based on the sample size. So based on sample size 50, X bar is, let me call it X1 bar. X1 bar is 41.4. Based on sample size 200, X bar 2 is 42 something. They are different, definitely, right? Because sample size, sample mean depends on the sample size. Okay, so values can be different, but check this one. If you calculate 95% confidence interval here for the mu and here same confidence interval, These values, I mean, this interval for the first one, it starts from 38 and goes up to 44. This is your lower bound. This is your upper bound. If you check next one, this is your lower bound. This is your upper bound. What happened? The range between these two, they are different. So second one, the range of the second one is much more smaller than the range of the first one. The reason is you have increased sample size. When you increase the sample size, you can get smaller interval. That's what we need. That's why I told you it's better if we have a large enough sample. Okay, if you get a large like 500 sample size is 500, then you will get very smaller interval than the second one. It's possible. Okay, clear? Sample size and accuracy. See, accuracy increases when sample size is increases. Okay, which means error goes down. Okay, right? Okay, this is the last part of this section. If you know what is the error in this confidence interval or whatever, I mean this point estimator, if you know the error, then you can find how many number of observations how many number of observations I need to consider for my sample. It's like this. If you need your error, I don't know, if you need to keep your error like 0.03. Okay, first of all, I'm going to define my error like this. Error value this much. Okay, I know sigma known. Confidence interval 95%. Clear? These three things I already know. I need to find how many observations do I need to pick as my sample, which means I need to find simple n. You can find simple n using this equation. You don't need to think about this too much. Just plug the values to this one and get the n. Once you get the value for n, always round it up. Round it up, because most of the time you will get when you solve this right hand side, you will get decimals. 10.5 for like 100.5, 100.444, something like that. So always round it up, because sample size is just a whole number, 101, 102, something like that. Okay, so always round this up. Don't round it down, round it up, because if you round it up, which means it's better. Okay, so C alpha you can find using this. In this case, alpha is 5%, which means 0.05. So you can find, I mean, so that you can find C alpha over 2, right? Sigma always known. Divide by this, everything divide by E. E is given here. That's it. Okay. Okay, let's check this. Okay, there's example. Sample size for estimating mu. Okay. So sample size we need to find. We don't know sample size. I need to find that. N, I don't know. I need to find it. Confidence interval, I mean confidence 95. Confidence is 95%. Within 0.5. Within 0.5. Which means X bar minus plus or minus E. This E is 0.5 error. See, within this value of the estimate of X bar. This one. Sigma given. So what do I do? Simply plug the values. This one, you already know this is 12.1. This one, 0.5. What is this one? Based on 95 confidence, your alpha is 0.05. So C alpha over 2, always C alpha over 2 is what? I know this value 1.96. Okay, so plug this value here. This is your sigma. Oh, sorry, this is your sigma, and this is your E square. Okay, so see, N is this much, 0.79, 2249.79. So always round it up. Keep it as a whole number. Okay, clear? There is, I mean, if you have a question to how to find, I mean, if you have a question to find the sample size based on this much error, this is the only way. Okay, this is the only way. Clear? There are no any other ways, just this one. Okay, clear? I think I told you last time you have mid exam 3 based on chapter 6, 7, and 8. Okay, I already finished it. I mean, almost all done, but I have to add few more questions. I'll talk about later. Okay. Anyway, clear? Okay. Then I'm going to move to next part, which means section 8.3. In this case, only difference is sigma is unknown. Sigma is unknown. Previous case, you knew what is the sigma. Okay. This case, okay. Previous case, section 8.2. Okay, sigma is known. Okay, sigma is known. So if you know the population is normally distributed, if I write it in a simple way, population normally distributed, normal mu sigma, then you use C approach, C table, right? You simply use C table or C approach, whatever. The other case is you don't know you don't know your population is normal distributed or not. Let's say you don't know anything about your population. Okay, that's fine. Let's write it like that. You do not know anything about your population. This is my population. How would I write it? Pop under N. If you don't know anything about the population, but you have a large enough sample. Okay. At this case, also you use, you approximate it to a normal distribution and use C table. Both cases C alpha over 2. C alpha over 2. Do you remember that? Okay. What happened if you, if these two fail? You don't, your population is not normal distribution. You don't know. And also your sample is not large enough. Then this fails, right? You cannot use this. To solve that problem, we can use this same approach. It doesn't matter here. It doesn't matter whether you know sigma or you don't. It's fine. Okay. This is based on especially sigma unknown situation, but still you can use this approach if your sample size is small, not large enough. Okay. Okay. Check this one. Process is, I think, pretty similar to previous one, but there are few things you should know. Oh, sorry. If you don't know about sigma, then definitely you cannot use C table or simply called C score. Okay, because it's based on C alpha over 2, something like that, based on alpha. Not alpha, sigma, based on sigma. See, do you remember how do you find the error? C alpha over 2 times sigma over square root of n, right? So if you don't know this guy, then you cannot apply this solution, I mean this approach to solve this kind of problem. But we have a way out, which is we call T distribution or students T distribution. Another distribution, T distribution, instead of C distribution. Okay, so now we are going to replace C distribution or C distribution replace C distribution from T distribution. Process is very similar, but okay. T distribution, it has the same properties as C distribution. It is symmetric about 0, like this, bell shape. So I think, yeah, next slide you will see the properties of the T distribution. So same as, I mean, standardization, C, do you remember? X minus mu divided by sigma, right? This is how you did the this is how we did the standardization. Okay, very similar here. This we don't call this standardization. You can do it using x bar minus mu divided by, here you don't know sigma, so you have to replace sigma using this part. What is S? S is the estimate for sigma. Remember, for the population, if you consider the population parameter, mu and sigma. Sample parameters, sorry, not the parameters, sample values, sample, x bar and S. So this you can map to this one, this you can map to this one. Okay. That's why we use S, but not just S over square root of n. Okay, right? So you have to remember this one. Let me erase this. You have to remember this one. Although you don't know sigma, you can simply find S and x bar. You know how to find this one. If you have a sample, you know the observations, what are the values, you can find sigma summation xi over n. Sorry, not sigma, x bar. How do you find sigma? Not sigma, S. How do you find this standard deviation of a sample? Do you remember that equation? I think I remember. Let me check. Xi minus x bar squared divided by n minus 1. I hope. Yeah, I think this is okay. This is how we find it. Chapter 3, 2. I don't remember. Maybe chapter 3 or 2. Okay. So simply you can find this. Okay. Here there is one more thing you should know based on this T distributions. There are something we call degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom, which means simply n minus 1. Always degree of freedom, or simply we call df, is n minus 1. N is this n, same n. Number of samples, number of observations in the sample, minus 1. Okay. Why we need this? I'll show you why. It's very similar to C table, but you need two values. Do I have? Yes. Okay. Clear? Don't mix this T distribution with your C distribution. Those are two different things, but they have similar similar properties. Check this one. This is your T distribution. It is symmetric about 0, same as C distribution. Symmetric, bell shape, and also see with the this black color one, I mean the top one, it is the normal distribution, normal 0, 1, standard normal distribution. So you can see, although their shapes are similar, they have different values. Okay, values depend on degree of freedom. See, here degree of freedom is 1, here 8. So you can see once degree of freedom is increasing, graph is like going down. Okay, so there are two things you need to know if you need to find the if you need to use the C table. Degree of freedom, what is alpha? Degree of freedom and what is alpha? Okay, degree of freedom always n minus 1. Okay, let's see. Okay, these are the properties. See, T curve under the area, area under the T curve is again 1, same as C, standard normal distribution. Extend up to infinity, both sides. Symmetric about 0, symmetric about 0. Number of degrees of freedom increases, curve looks increasingly like the standard normal curve. Blue color one, yes, see, sorry, I think I told you something different. If degrees of freedom increases, graph goes up, not down. I think I told you graph goes down, graph goes up. Okay, if you increase the degrees of freedom here, you can see it very closest to our C table, standard normal curve. Okay, we don't use, but let's say now you know something like, if my sample is large enough, which means greater than 30, I can use C table, right? Clear? But believe me, still you can use T distribution as well. Because of this reason, they are pretty close to each other when we increase the degrees of freedom, or simply increase the sample size. Degrees of freedom mean n minus 1. So if we increase the n, degree of freedom also increases, and they very close to each other, C table and T table. Okay, so but here we use T because we don't know sigma, unknown sigma. Right, this is how we find the interval. I told you they are very similar. Yes, only difference is, see, here you have degree of freedom and you have T here instead of C, and this one instead of sigma you have S, simple S. Okay, clear? So how do we find this one? I'll show you how to find, I'll show you what is the T table. It's already uploaded on the Blackboard. So this is, okay, check this one, C alpha over 2. Previous case, it has only alpha over 2, no any other values. So we simply check the area from the body part of the table and find what are the C values. What is the C values? Okay, same thing you have to do in this T table, but here you will be having alpha over 2, same alpha over 2. Okay, and degrees of freedom, DF. So you have to stick with these two this time. Okay, let's check this one. This is the t table. If you need to find the value, you have t alpha over 2 here. Here, t alpha over 2. Okay, t alpha over 2 value here. Here you have degrees of freedom. So I need to find this one. Let's say t alpha over 2. Alpha over 2 is 0.01. Okay, alpha over 2 is this one. So I need to find t 0.01. Degree of freedom is, let's say, 3. Okay, so here I need to find this one, t 0.01 comma 3. 3 is degree of freedom. This is alpha over 2. So alpha over 2 is 0.1. 0.01 here. Clear? Degree of what is the degree of freedom? 3. So now your value is this one. Clear? Always the first column. It shows you the degrees of freedom, df. Here you can see you have only like few t values, t alpha over 2 values. There are 5 or 6, sometimes 6. So yes, we have some kind of bounded t values. Okay, that's totally fine. You can do many things using this small value set. Okay, clear? And these are the same things. Degree of freedom. I either use this side or this side. No problem. Same value. Okay. Okay. Let me go back. So this is how we find the confidence interval. So let's say whatever percent confidence interval for mu. So population mean mu. You can write it x bar this side minus t alpha over 2 comma degrees of freedom s over square root of n comma upper bound is x bar plus. There is no sigma here. Okay, there is no sigma because it is unknown. This is somewhat real life situation. I told you first part 8.2. It is sigma known case. Most of the time it is only for this class situation, not in real life. But this one possible in your real life scenarios. Okay. I think I explained this one. Column mention the t alpha over 2 and rows degree of freedom. Okay. Same way you have to use the t table. The same way you use c table. Same. Okay. Only difference is this guy and this degree of freedom. Let's see whether we have example. Okay, these are the steps. Steps are also pretty similar. Okay, see, first find the 1 minus alpha and then find the t alpha over 2. I mean simply alpha over 2, then t alpha over 2 with degree of freedom n minus 1, which means simply you have to find this. This is again a value, but it is not 1.96, a different value. Then your confidence interval is this one. You have to find sometime you will be, you will be given s and x bar, sometime not. So you have to calculate x bar and s. Okay. So always try to use your calculators to calculate x bar and s. Interpret the confidence interval. 95% confidence interval for mu is this one. Clear? That's how we interpret it. So I think So this is general. This based on T alpha, but whenever you need to find T alpha over 2, same thing you have to use. Okay. Degree of freedom 1 minus n minus 1. If you have degree of freedom this and alpha this, you can simplify. You can simply find this T alpha comma degree of freedom like this. Here alpha, just alpha. Okay, but in your case you need to use alpha over 2. Clear? Any questions? One more thing. Let me show the real table. This one. This is your T table. Okay. This is what you need to do. I think I already uploaded this one on the Blackboard. Check this one. The graph. Please check the graph. Left hand side. You can see how they measure the area. Area in this case they measure to the right, not starting from the left side. Clear? To the right, this part. See, T alpha, this side. Okay. C table, what we had, starting from your left hand side. But here you have only one table, only one T table. You can see maximum degree of freedom is 49. According to this table. There are many tables, there are many versions, they have different degree of freedom values. Some of them are like go up to 100, doesn't matter. This one 49, maximum 49. If it is 50 or 60, then you can what? Use C table. Remember, if n is equals 60 or 50 something, go to the C table. Use the C situation. There is another case based on that. If you don't know sigma, but your sample size is large enough, like 50 or 60, it is another scenario. We will talk about later. Okay, it's another scenario, but believe me, up to 50, up to n equal 50, you can use this table under sigma unknown. Okay, clear? Right. Any questions based on this one before I do this example? This example there is there. They have done it. I just going to explain this one. Right. Whatever this story, I'm just going to cut it off. I need this from here to here. Okay. The story, I'll just skip that one. 95% confidence interval, 95% CI. So tell me, what is my alpha? 0.05. So what is my alpha over 2? How many samples or how many observations? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times 5, 25. So n equals 25. Okay. So first of all, you need to find this one, which means T alpha over 2. You know that degree of freedom is n minus 1, 24. Okay. Go to the table and find this T value. Remember these two values, 0.025 and 24. This is okay. Okay, they have found that value. Let me show you how to find. Zero 0.025. Third column. What was the value? 24, right? 24, right? 24. Third column, okay, which means this middle one, 24. This one, 2.064. Let me check. See that value. Clear? So this one T 0.025 comma 24. Now what's the next step? See, plug your values to this guy, but at the same time you need X bar and S. Use your calculator to find X bar and S from this one. X bar equals summation xi divided by n. S equals sum xi minus X bar squared divided by n minus 1 square root. Okay. Simply plug the values. Done. This is your answer. Simplification I'm not going to do here, but please do it. Okay. So you have to replace your X bar here. This piece right here is 2.064. Okay. S from here, N is 25. Clear? Like I'm going, I like these things I'm explaining a little bit faster because I expect, I believe that you know the basics. Basics means simply apply this one, right? Because we did it in the last section. So I expect you know this. Okay. Actually, if you are familiar with previous part 8.2, how to use sigma node, then this is going to be pretty easy. Okay, clear? Right. So final answer is 95% confidence interval for mu is from this to this, or is using like interval notation, whatever. Okay, upper bound, sorry, lower bound first and upper bound second. You don't have to write this, using both ways, just one, that's fine. Okay, clear? Either like this from here to here, or this, whatever. Okay. Yeah, step 3 is the interpretation part, same thing. Okay, for the interpretation part, try to replace your mu, what they have mentioned in the problem. So in the problem they have mentioned mean loss of all pickpocket offenses. So this is your mu. Okay, when you interpret the result, please try to replace your mu what they have mentioned in the problem. Okay, because if someone else in this class, not in this class, someone else not in this class read this one, this one, he doesn't know what is this mu. Okay, so for general audience you should write this interpretation like this. This is the idea behind it. So always try to write it for general audience. So explain everything. This is 95% confidence that the mean, this mu, what they have mentioned, between these two. So these three things, this one, and yes, mu, these three things are compulsory compulsory stuff you have to mention in your answer, interpretation, right? Oh, that was pretty fast. So any questions? This is about chapter, sorry, not chapter, section 8.3. 8.3. So let me write section. See, give me 2-3 minutes. Okay, section 8.2. Sigma node. Okay, 95%, not 95, any percent confidence interval you found using X bar plus or minus C alpha over 2 sigma times sigma over square root of n. Clear? So how did you find alpha? Alpha is 1 minus confidence level. What is the CL? It is the decimal version of confidence interval. Okay, this is the decimal version of confidence interval. So then simply get the alpha over 2 and find this value. This value already given. X bar sometime you have to find using the given observations. Okay, clear? Okay, what are the two scenarios we use? As I mentioned before, population is known. Your population has a normal distribution, normal distributed with mean mu and sigma. Then you can use this. What is the other one? Other way is large enough sample size. Okay, large enough mean greater than or equal 30. Clear? Those are the two possible ways. Those are the two possible scenarios that you can use. Can you see this, right? I think, yeah. These are the two possible scenarios that you can use this guy. Section under section 8.2. Known sigma. So what about section 8.3? Sigma unknown. Don't mix these two. Sigma unknown. Okay, last part here, large enough sample size, n greater than 30, greater than or equal 30. Okay, sigma unknown. This part, this section, what we just finished. In this case, you have to use T table. Okay, so how do you find it? X bar plus or minus T alpha over 2, comma, degrees of freedom times S over square root of n. This is how you find the confidence interval. Okay, this case, sigma unknown, you don't have a large enough sample. Which means n less than 10. Under these two conditions, sigma unknown and sample size is less than 30. So you have to use this approach, second one, T table, T approach, T distribution or students T distribution. The students mean that part came from because this table generated by students of that professor. So that's why, yeah. At that point, if you know, sigma, if you know sigma, but your population, sample size is less than 30, no, you can't use it. Please don't use it because there is another way. Very simple, but another way. Okay, clear? Any questions? So this is all about chapter 8. Okay, so up to this point, you have to go through, starting from 6 up to this point, you have to study for your mid exam 3. Okay, I think, okay, tell me, would you like to do it like previous exams, all multiple choice questions, or do you need some short answer questions? Multiple choice. Why is that? Because you have all answers, right? Okay. Again, this time also you will be having 1 hour. Okay, that's the default. Okay, I'll try to do all the, add all the multiple choice questions. Right. I'll talk about exam next week. At the end of this week, I'll send you the review.